Purport by Srila Prabhupada. While quitting his body, Maharaj Dhruva, the son of King Uttanapada, was attended by personalities like Sunanda and others who received him in the kingdom of God. He left this world at an early age as a young boy. Although he had attained the throne of his father and had several children of his own, because he was due to quit this world, death was waiting for him. He did not care for death, however, and even with his present body, he boarded a spiritual airplane and went directly to the planet of Vishnu because of his association with the great sage Narada, who had spoken to him the narration of the pastimes of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. The philosophy of the Bhagavatam is to hear the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, become absorbed in such subject matter, and thereby transcend death, go back to Godhead, become established in devotional service. This point is being stressed throughout the Bhagavatam. Right in the beginning, Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna. Hearing Krishna's pastimes. Punya Shravana Kirtanaha. So that principle is repeated again. Vidura says to Maitreya, I want to hear more and more and more about the narration of the Lord's appearance, activities. And the great sage Maitreya is telling Vidura, your inquiry is just befitting a devotee. So who likes to hear? Who wants to hear more about the Lord's pastimes? It's the devotees. Others don't have an understanding of the importance, don't know what is the value, or don't appreciate hearing such pastimes, or consider such pastimes as material. So many different reasons why others don't hear. Even if they hear, they'll make an official show of hearing. Sometimes they have this Bhagavad Saptaha. So somebody says, I've attended 1,000 Bhagavad Saptahas. Now what is the change in your consciousness by attending such Saptahas? No change in consciousness. Or very little change, not noticeable in terms of purification. So, devotees, genuine devotees, sincere devotees, serious devotees, they want to hear more and more and more and more and more and more. And they want to hear to the extent that they get completely absorbed in such pastimes. Devotees sometimes when I ask, are you reading Bhagavatam? Yes. Then I ask, okay, what are you reading? Suddenly they will not be able to say. So I ask them, did you read this morning? Yeah, yes. So what was it you were reading? Something you tell me. You may not remember exactly the topic number, the chapter number, or the chapter name even. Something about you're reading about Dhruva, you're reading about Prithu Maharaj, or reading 4th canto. Something you tell me. So with great difficulty they may say, I am reading 4th canto. 4th canto is so big, 33 chapters. Which chapter are you reading? Okay, chapter you don't remember the number. Okay, some topic you tell me. Then they say, the difficulty is, I am not able to remember what I read. So I tell, it is not a function of memory. It is directly the interest you have in the subject you are reading. That is what is important. If you sometimes consider people talk, two people talk to each other for a long time, how is it they have so much to talk about? Even though it is considered as Gramya Katha. gossip, which has no real value. Even material value is not there for that. Gramya Katha has no material value also. And of course, it has no spiritual value. So how are they finding so much to talk about? It is because they have so much interest in certain topics. They want to tell, or they want to hear, they want to exchange, they want to share. Now with the internet, so much is being posted on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. So much. What is all this subject matter? Some of them are serious subject matter, even from material point of view. Some of them are serious subject matter. But not everything is really beneficial for people, even materially speaking, not beneficial. So, the interest that we have in this subject is very important. Is very important. So, if you think you can't remember something you have read, you should consider that you are not reading with sufficient interest. Of course, somebody doesn't have a good memory, they may not be able to tell exactly which is the page, which is the number, etc. Okay, fine. That is not a very serious problem. For advancement in devotional service, it's not a problem. For advancement in devotional service, what is required is your interest. How serious you are about hearing, about reading. Reading is another form of hearing. Prabhupada's words are recorded in the form of these books. So we are hearing Prabhupada. So the subject matter is that a devotee, he is interested in hearing about the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Remember the 6 questions the sage Naimisharanya asked? We would like to hear about the wonderful activities the Lord performs in His various incarnations. Parikshit Maharaj, he wants to hear about the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, the activities He performs. Vidura wants to hear about the incarnation of Varaha, more. So this interest is the central point. So if we are devotees, of course all of us are devotees. Not if we are devotees, we are devotees. So devotee means interested in hearing, reading, knowing, discussing, understanding, applying. But it begins with hearing or reading. It begins with that. Afterwards comes trying to discuss, trying to understand, trying to apply. If you don't hear at all, or if you don't seriously read, or if you don't take interest in reading or hearing, how can you know? How can you apply? How can you understand? Where is some subject, some stuff for understanding? There is nothing there for understanding. Sometimes people say, Bhagavatam is very difficult to understand. I say, have you ever even read Bhagavatam properly? Have you heard Bhagavatam? Have you taken interest in Bhagavatam? Then you say, I'm not able to understand. Then I'll ask you, what are you not able to understand? Oh, nothing I can understand. So difficult. They never taken any interest in seeing what is it that is being said there. What is it being said there? Then you can ask, this particular sentence is little difficult to understand, or this verse is difficult to understand, this purport is, some point is not clear. You can ask something. If you don't take any interest, what is there to ask? So therefore, not just hearing, but hearing with interest, hearing with seriousness. Even this problem of sleep during Bhagavatam class, at least those who get up early in the morning every day and attend a morning sadhana, they'll have difficulty in remaining awake always during Bhagavatam class. So how can this problem be solved? I've been thinking about this for a long time. What is the solution to this problem? So I have seen that if there is serious interest in the subject matter, it is very easy to sit and hear the class, irrespective of how tired you may be. Irrespective of that, you can sit and hear, and you can nicely try to understand, try to become more inquisitive, try to connect with what was being discussed earlier. See, we are going in a sequence. We have come to 3rd canto, 14th chapter, 6th verse. So much you have heard earlier. Sometimes you might have missed something in between. Okay. But in general, the flow of the Bhagavatam. So this topic is very central to the Bhagavatam. Hearing the narrations of the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, their activities, their qualities, their characteristics, their special features, their instructions. Now here, a topic is being raised. Now, Maitreya is telling the Supreme Lord is the source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are destined to die. All of us are destined to die. Everybody in this material world, except the pure devotees and the Supreme Lord. Everyone is destined to die, including Brahma. Just because in the position of Brahma doesn't mean he is not going to die. He is also going to die. So, what is the solution for conquering death? It is hearing with interest, with attention, with a heart, hearing these narrations about the Supreme Lord, especially from the Bhagavatam. Especially from the Bhagavatam. And now, Maitreya is giving an example. Formerly, Maitreya is telling, this son of King Uttanapada, Dhruva, he heard these topics from the sage Narada. He heard these topics from the sage Narada regarding the personality of Godhead, and he went to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. He conquered death. He conquered death. So Prabhupada is telling in the purport, this boy, he left at an early age as a young boy. If you remember, or if you have read, if you have heard, Dhruva Maharaj, he was a 5-year-old boy when he went to the forest. So, after he did tapasya for 6 months, that's all, according to the instruction of Narada, the Lord appeared because his tapasya was so very effective. By his tapasya, he stopped breathing. And his stopping the breathing actually was suffocating the demigods. The air circulation of the entire universe became affected. How can one person sitting and stopping breathing affect the entire universe? How can it affect the entire universe? So naturally, this question will arise, Anybody will have this question. Any sensible person will have this question. So you have to read, you have to hear, you have to ask, you have to find out. Somebody is not taking interest in hearing, they might have heard this. They will never even think or bother. Oh, okay. It stopped the breathing, and therefore the demigods went running to Vishnu. Vishnu said, I know the cause. I'll solve the problem. Immediately Vishnu came, touched with his conch shell Dhruva's forehead. Dhruva came out of trance and he started breathing normally. Everything is normal. Ho gaya. Problem is solved. Just the Lord appeared and problem is solved. But the Lord asked Dhruva, what do you want? why are you doing this tapasya? So he said, I was looking for some broken piece of glass. And I have got diamond. So I don't want anything. I got you, who are like a diamond in front of all the other desires one may ask from the Lord, which are like broken piece of glass in front of diamond. So still the Lord says, my dear Dhruva, I shall award you the glowing planet known as the pole star, which will continue to exist even after the dissolution at the end of the millennium. No one has ever ruled this planet, which is surrounded by all the solar systems, planets and stars. All the luminaries in the sky circumambulate this planet, just as bulls tread around a central pole for the purpose of crushing grains. Keeping the pole star to the right, to their right, all the stars inhabited by the great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kashyapa, Shukra circumambulate this planet, which continues to exist even after the dissolution of all other planets. So, Prabhupada says, actually, the Lord awarded Dhruva his personal planet in this world. So, it is said here by Prabhupada, Dhruva would directly go to Vaikuntha Loka. He would go to Vaikuntha Loka. And this planet of the Supreme Lord is not destroyed, means it is not a material planet. Even in this world where Vishnu lives or resides, maintainer Vishnu, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, he resides in a planet which has got an ocean of milk. And the center of that ocean there is an island. That island is called Shweta Dvipa. On that island, the maintainer Vishnu resides. So Dhruva actually, where has he gone? He has gone to Shweta Dvipa. That Prabhupada clarifies. And it says, after your father goes to the forest and awards you the rule of his kingdom, you will rule continuously the entire world for 36,000 years. And all your senses will continue to be as strong as they are now. You will never become old. So Prabhupada says in Satya Yuga, Dhruva Maharaj lived in Satya Yuga, people used to live for 100,000 years. Means 1 lakh years. Out of 1 lakh years, 36,000 years he will rule. Okay? So, after 36,000 years, and it's also said you will never become old. That means he remains a young boy. He doesn't become old. He remains a young boy. Kumaras, remember the Kumaras? They look like 5-year-old boys. They are the oldest in the entire universe. But they look like 5-year-old boys. Because they have that mystic power by which they maintain their Kumara form. 5-year-old form. They look like that only. So similarly, Dhruva Maharaj, he is blessed by the Lord. He will remain young. Sometime in future, your brother Uttama will go hunting in the forest, and while absorbed in hunting, he'll be killed. Your stepmother Suruchi, being maddened upon the death of her son, will go to search him out in the forest, but she'll be devoured by a forest fire. And then you will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also give great charities. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life. And at the time of your death, you will be able to remember me. After your material life in this body, you will go to my planet, which is always offered obeisances by the residents of all other planetary systems. It is situated above the planets of the 7 rishis, and having gone there, you will never have to come back again to this material world. So it's clearly said, you will go to my planet. So even though it is called Dhruva Loka, it is actually Shvetadvipa. It's actually Shvetadvipa. So, why I am reading this is, it is said by Prabhupada here, he left this world at an early age as a young boy. Early age because 1 lakh years he left at the age of 36,000 years. So therefore he left the world at an early age. And Prabhupada says he left as a young boy. How young boy? 36,000 years. It is because Lord blessed him. You will never become old. Then when he was due to quit this world, because Lord said after 36,000 years you'll come back to me. Come back to me means leave this particular planet. Correct? Death was waiting for him. Oh, now he has to change his body. He has to quit this body. So death was waiting for him. He did not care for death. Even with his present body, he boarded a spiritual aeroplane and went directly to the planet of Vishnu. He stepped over the head of death. He placed his feet over the head of death and just said, I don't care for you. So that is possible. How was it possible? Because he heard the topics of the Supreme Lord from Narada and became enlightened about all these things. So simply by hearing with interest, asking the right questions, Prabhupada explained everything Prabhupada has explained. If you have any doubt, you read. After reading you cannot find your doubts answered, discuss, escalate, ask some more older devotees who might have read. Or you can search. Now you can search even in Vedabase, you can search. So all the questions are answered. So now I have told you something you have to search for the answer. What is that? What did I tell you? Find out. Breathing. Stop breathing. How the whole universe people started feeling suffocated. Find out. It is explained by Prabhupada. So meditating on Paramatma doesn't lead to everybody becoming suffocated if the yogi stops his breathing. There's so many yogis in the Himalayas, they stop breathing. It doesn't happen like that. Don't think every yogi who stops breathing by his pranayama practice, we all will feel suffocated. No, nothing like that will happen. It's not for all yogis. It's for some extraordinary personalities. Hiranyakashipu performed tapasya, severe austerity, and it affected the whole universe. Dhruva performed tapasya, it affected the whole universe. Not everybody's tapasya, severe austerities will affect the whole universe. No. Don't think it is a general phenomena. So you read what is the answer in that. So the point is that what is the benefit of hearing and becoming enlightened about the pastimes of the Lord? You can conquer death. You can go back to Godhead. It is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that you surrender to me, Think of me. You become my devotee. So, becoming devotee means what? What does it mean? Thinking of Krishna means what? In practical terms, it means hearing from the Bhagavatam regularly. And becoming interested in the subject matter. See, controlling the mind, controlling the senses is such a difficult thing in this world. Why? Because the mind and senses are absorbed in so many other nonsense activities going on in this world. That is why the disturbance for the senses and the mind. If your senses and mind are absorbed in these topics, you will have no disturbance from any of the nonsense outside that is going on. That's a fact. It is a 100% fact. You try this. The problem is we don't even try this. You might have heard many times. Don't take interest in all the nonsense that is going on outside. See, like sometimes devotees, they stand and read. I've seen in Bangalore that notice board where the news, some clippings are put. Earlier, newspaper is to be kept. And then there will be people who will be reading the newspaper more seriously than the Bhagavatam. So to stop that, what we did, we started cutting the important items. They should know something about what is going on around them. If there is a bandh in Bangalore, they don't know, they go out and then somebody starts throwing stones. Why are you coming out today? So then that kind of foolishness we should not be doing. So to inform people of some important, petrol price has gone up. Earlier we used to carry cash to fill petrol. If price has gone up, we don't have money, then you'll say, you don't know, price has gone up. It's all there in the newspapers. Oh, we don't read newspapers. Oh, so foolish people. So in order to not remain foolish in this world, as long as you live in this world, you have to live practically. So put some important, that they will stand and read. Okay, fine, stand and read. It doesn't take much time to read that, some important items. No, stand and discuss. Why petrol price has gone up? When I was child, it used to be only 1 rupee per liter. What is that got to do with our business of Bhagavatam? If there's some connection with Bhagavatam, it's okay discussing that. But otherwise, what's the use? So many useless topics we think about, we discuss, we are concerned. Some fighting is going on the border between Pakistan and India. How does it matter to us? Except we should know something is going on. If people ask, yeah, something is going on. But otherwise, we are not afraid. We are not worried what's going to happen to the world. We know this world is completely controlled by the Supreme Lord. There may be some useless people who may be doing some nonsense. But everything is under control of Vishnu. Nothing is outside his control. And we are devotees. We are perfectly protected by him under all circumstances. This we Not that we also doubt what is going to happen if there is war. Prabhupada has asked, what will you do if there is third world war? Prabhupada said, we'll chant Hare Krishna. We'll chant Hare Krishna. That's all. What can we do if there is a war? And anyway we are chanting Hare Krishna. It's not that war time only we chant Hare Krishna. We are anyway chanting Hare Krishna. We'll continue to do our spiritual activities. That's our business. That's all. So, we have to be clear about this, that our business is Bhagavatam. This is our business. Because we don't have taste for continuously sitting and hearing and reading, we have to also do other activities. Some preaching activities, some participating in some preaching missionary activities, organizing the preaching, some help, whatever little service we can do, we have to do that. But we can never leave out this Bhagavatam. Never leave out. Prabhupada made a system. Every day there should be Bhagavatam class in the temple. Every day. Every day there should be Bhagavatam class. Sometimes devotees, when Bhagavatam class is going on, if there is a recorded class, I can hear that later. No. It is not whether you can hear later or not. It is sitting in the association devotees and as a principle, as a practice of sadhana. Sadhana means practice. Sadhana bhakti. You have to sit and hear in the association of devotees at the time when Bhagavatam class is going on. That's very important. And your mind should become controlled in this way. Bhagavatam class time, Bhagavatam class. If there is service which cannot wait, you have to attend, you have to do that. Otherwise, if service can be done later, or something can be attended later, please do it later. Don't do it now, during Bhagavatam class time. And we should organize ourselves in such a way that we do attend Bhagavatam class and our service should be done later. That's the way we should try to organize ourselves also. Work it out. So, this hearing Bhagavatam, hearing about the activities of the Lord, they're wonderful activities. There's nothing in the world, in the universe, which can have such interesting subject matter. Mind you, this Bhagavatam is attractive even for the liberated souls who have no interest in anything of this ordinary topics of this world. Gramya Katha, they have no interest, absolutely no interest. They also take interest in Bhagavatam. So how wonderful Bhagavatam is. It is wonderful. It's very nice. Just that you have to develop little taste. It takes little time. Discuss, read, hear, think about it, contemplate on this subject. Little time, at least every day, 5 minutes. Spend time contemplation on what is this subject matter all about. Whether you have any questions, whether any link or flow you are establishing. Everywhere throughout the Bhagavatam there are links like this. Just like I read from 4th canto, there's a link already in the 3rd canto about Dhruva Maharaj. It comes in the 4th canto, the details of Dhruva Maharaj's pastime. So, everything is given in the Bhagavatam. It's very interesting subject matter. It is very systematically explained. Nothing is left for our imagination or speculation, no. And by knowing this, you become enlightened. So much enlightenment happens. So much enlightenment happens. There is plenty of things for us to know for our practical devotional service also. Even living life in this material world, so many tips are given in the Bhagavad. So, now the Lord, Maitreya is going to describe that how is it that the Supreme Lord killed this Hiranyaksha in his form as Varaha when he was lifting the earth from the Rasatala region. Suddenly this demon appeared and challenged the Lord. So who is this demon? Why was there enmity between him and the Lord? Lord is nobody's enemy. Lord is not involved in people's ordinary activities directly like that. No. He is neutral. Even if he is awarding the results of our activities, he is neutral. He is most just. So how come this Hiranyaksha developed so much enmity with the Lord? And then he went to attack the Lord, stop him, and then challenge the Lord, and then the Lord killed him. So what is the reason? See how inquisitiveness, questions lead to further discussion. Now the whole story of, not story, this is actually the historical incident. The birth of this Hiranyaksha, how did it happen? How did the birth of Hiranyaksha happen? So for that, Maitreya is telling, I heard from Brahma long time back. I heard from Brahma. Brahma was describing to the demigods about the pregnancy of Diti in the evening. So it's very interesting. Why pregnancy of Diti in the evening is coming for? Because Diti gave birth to Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And they became big problem for people of this universe. Of the entire universe. They started terrorizing the whole universe. And then the demigods became completely disturbed. And then they prayed to the Lord, do something. Then the Lord incarnated as Varaha to kill Hiranyaksha and incarnated as Narsimha to kill Hiranyakashipu. So, it's very interesting subject matter. This whole Bhagavatam, the topics are very nicely presented in form of questions and answers. So you follow this sequence in which it is presented, not simply read something in between here and there, whatever you like to read. No, systematically go through. It's worthwhile. So the description will be given about pregnancy of Diti in the evening, and you will understand the link between this topic and the question asked by Vidura about the Lord's killing Hiranyaksha when Hiranyaksha had developed enmity with the Lord and he stopped the Lord when the Lord was rescuing the earth. So then the Lord had to actually fight against this demon because he was obstructing. Any questions? What is the qualification? Interest. That's all. Simple. If you have interest, everything else, other qualification will automatically come. You need interest. You have to be seriously interested. That is your own personal interest. It is not something that can be forced. Not something to be acquired from some external source. No. You know what is Bhagavatam. You know what is the importance. You heard enough number of times the importance. Simply by hearing, all perfection is within your grasp. Simply by hearing nicely, with interest. Of course, hearing leads to discussion, leads to reading, leads to seeking some, clearing some doubts, leads to preaching, leads to application of the principles of Bhagavata Dharma. It will lead to all that. That will all happen automatically. First thing is your interest in hearing. And if you're serious, you will come every day, sit properly and hear. Sit or stand or whatever. You'll properly hear nicely. Like I don't see anybody sleeping now. Why? Because you all become very serious now. All become very serious. Nobody is sleeping. It's natural. It's very natural, very easy. There is no other secret about this. The devotees who are struggling to remain awake, I see them. Their struggle is somehow how to be awake. They are not considering what is the topic being discussed. That they are not, is not there in the mind at all. Something is being spoken. I am not able to remember. I didn't hear yesterday. Because yesterday also I was fighting sleep. Day before yesterday, that day also I didn't hear. I was fighting sleep. So continuously only fighting sleep. His concern is how to remain awake. Forget about this sleep and remaining awake. Just try to find what is the topic. Before coming to the class, when you are nicely awake, Open the book and see, or talk, ask somebody, hey Prabhu, what is the topic that is being discussed in Bhagavatam? That also the fellow doesn't know. And he comes to the class and sits and tries to hear. How will he hear? Should at least know something, no? Like people, when I start speaking Bhagavatam, somebody is coming for the first time for a class, says, Swamiji, can you tell me difference between Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita? Is it the same or different? I said, relevant, very important question. They should know it is something different. It is not the same thing. It is relevant. It's a relevant question. I appreciate that question very much. Then I explain, Bhagavad Gita is just 18 chapters, 700 verses. Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. 18,000 verses. So it is organized as not only chapters and verses, there are cantos. So then they become interested. Okay, what is the subject matter? So like this, people learn so much simply by asking one question. So much they learn. They become interested, they start reading. Sometimes our life members, when they get this Bhagavatam, they keep it on the shelf and be decorating their bookcase or shelf very nicely. So sometimes I ask them, have you opened that? No, Swamiji, no time. So then I tell them, I'll come to your house, I will introduce you to what is Bhagavatam, then maybe you can start reading little. They say, very nice, very nice. Then I go to their house and tell them, and then afterwards I ask, yes, we are reading, regularly reading. So we are so fortunate, we don't have to have all that introduction. Already that introduction is over. Even before we joined or just after we joined, whatever. All that is over. So we have the opportunity to sit and hear. Somebody without opportunity for hearing there to sit and read, it is not so easy. Hearing is easier. Hearing is easier than reading. Please remember this. Hearing is easier. So please understand the value of sitting in the association of devotees and hearing this Bhagavatam. It is much more effective than reading. Though, if you read like you are hearing Prabhupada, the effect will be the same. Again there, what is your interest in reading? Same thing. Your interest should be there. I tell devotees sometimes, any doubts you have? No doubts. Why? When you're reading, you're not marking anything. I'm sure so many questions will be there when reading. If you mark some particular statement or some particular thing is told, I'm sure you'll have doubts. How you can say no doubts if you're reading every day? Anybody reading every day have to have some questions or doubts or some topic for discussion. Even if you don't have questions, something for discussion at least. We can discuss something. In the early days when Prabhupada used to visit some temple, he would give association to devotees, tell all the devotees, come sit down. Then he will say, let us discuss. You have any questions to ask? Nobody has any questions. Okay, let us discuss. So he'll tell one devotee, bring Bhagavad Gita, read 4th chapter. Then now let us discuss. So like that, Prabhupada used to have discussion on the topics. This is very important. Even if you don't have doubts, it's okay. Somebody may, be reading and understanding, and it is very clear because Prabhupada has written in a very simple way. not difficult to understand. So even if you don't have doubts, discuss what is being told there, the topics. Okay? We'll stop. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.